Hello folks, we're going to give a very nice detailed preparation plan for CAT. Preparation plan starting for CAT from right about now, February. And so typically we give a preparation plan which is like the themes of preparation. What should you focus on? What are the topics in order and what are the ideas sitting underneath it? Then we give what is called a preparation schedule, saying do this in week 1, week 2, month 1, month 2, like that. So we said we're going to make a nice comprehensive video guiding through the outline of what are the things to cover throughout from now till October. What is the sequence going to be? What is our idea of what a preparation plan should be? And so, bunch of simple things to keep in mind. This is clearly applicable for someone who's starting from scratch, who's probably not taken CAT before, who doesn't have a definite strong section and a weak section. And typical candidate starting now. Keep that in mind. Rest of the caveats I'll give towards the end. So, anytime you're preparing for an exam, there are three parts to it, three phases to it. And one is funda building, and conceptual clarity, understanding ratios and proportion, understanding when a quadratic equation will have two roots, understanding the idea behind reading comprehension, central idea in a main idea in a passage, thinking about the standard templates for logical reasoning. So that will come here where you grasp an idea, learn that idea. You're not thinking about whether it is for CAT or SAT or GMAT or whatever. Learning fundas, learning concepts with clarity. Then comes a part of speed building, especially in the context of a competitive exam. So I'll have had students who are very powerful in understanding the ideas, but because they do it beautifully from first principle, they derive everything, they process everything from 0 to 100. They're not hopping on at the 70 level, so they lose speed. So this part where you consolidate and add on templates and automate processes and build muscle memory in the brain. But you can look at a quadratic equation and you know the roots because you have solved 45 of them before. So that part is super important. The final part is mocks, taking mocks. Right? So the moment I give a hierarchy like this, the temptation is to say we'll finish this, then finish this, then finish this. It's not going to work like that. This is phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. You will begin with a lot of this. You will end with a lot of this. Correct? But even till the last day or the last week, you'll be brushing and revisiting fundamentals. From very early on, you'll start taking mocks. Mocks give you a sense of what the overall game is. Funda building focuses on inequalities, functions, parajumbles, on specific ideas that you learn, build your curiosity, feed build raw intellectual power. That happens here. Being game ready happens here. But it is not, I repeat, it's not a scenario where you finish this and then go there. The moment you finish 5 topics, the moment you go to topic number 6, 1 and 2 will fly out of the mind. You'll forget a bunch of things. It will not be automatic. You'll lose speed. You'll completely not have a handle on some very powerful fundamental ideas. All 3 will have to happen all the time. And so it's not like finish this. It's not a diagram where you finish one step, go to the second step, go to the third step. There are 3 parallel tracks, but just having a big bias when you start your preparation, just having a big bias when you're ending the preparation, just transitioning from one to the other. Keep that in mind. So very often students ask me, so I finished syllabus, should I finish syllabus and then I take mock? I said never. There's no such thing as finishing syllabus. Mocks give you the 10,000 feet view, your sense of what the overall thing is. I have had so many students crack CAT out of shape who will stand here and confidently tell you they never finished any syllabus. And so this is not a linear arrangement of one after the other. Keep that in mind. Right? Now, what have we done here? I'm going to give you the framework here. We're talking about quant, logical reasoning, data interpretation, verbal. Right? And then we are saying the funda building part comes here, the speed building consolidation part comes here, mocks come here. Right? So very important. So what you have tried to do is to change the relative sizes of these things to give you a sense of what is most important, what is going to occupy most of your time originally, the beginning part of the process. And so if you're sitting in February, then there's a bigger bias towards funda building and you're not really focusing on mock taking. Right? When you're starting early, there's a bigger bias towards quant and less so for LRDI and VRC. Why? Because only when you do a bunch of quant topics are you ready to go and attack a ton of logical reasoning and DI ideas. Verbal, typically if you're thinking about VRC, then the syllabus is very narrow. Nothing, you have to read and answer. 4 paragraphs are jumbled. There's no portions or syllabus for VRC. It's 1/3 of the paper, but the preparation bias early on is towards quant. Right? And then it will shift out and then it will shift out. So this box will progressively keep getting smaller. This box will progressively keep getting bigger. Quant focus will keep reducing. LRDI and VRC will keep increasing. That's the theme, what we are doing here. Right? So track wise, we're discussing quant here, LRDI here, verbal here, learning fundas here, practicing, consolidating, revising here, mocks here. Right? What should you do? Typically, the best topics to start with are the arithmetic topics. Right? Percentages in profit and loss, averages, ratio, proportion, mixtures. And we've kept the load kind of light when you begin with, because it takes some more time to consolidate ideas. So if you do only 4 topics in February, that is good. Doesn't mean you'll do only 4 topics in March and April. You will do 5-6 topics in April and have logical reasoning and VRC on top of that, and you will be able to manage that. It's like, to give you a very good parallel, imagine the time, those of you who have learned driving a car, think about when you started driving the car. So the first few trips, even going on a half an hour round for 6-7 kilometers is extremely draining. You spent half an hour, gotten super tired, actually driven only for 6 kilometers. But once your comfort level increases, you effortlessly go from one point to another without getting out of bed. Same thing will happen here. Keep that in mind. The focus is going to be enormously on arithmetic, because just covering arithmetic typically gets you to close to half the questions that you can attempt, or 40% of the questions you can attempt, and flirt with 90th percentile in quantum, which is very high. And so focus on arithmetic, because the building blocks are built here. If you don't understand ratios and percentages and simple solving with 2 variables unwittingly, it's very difficult to understand ideas from trigonometry and coordinate geometry. So start from scratch. So percentages, profit and loss, averages, ratios, proportions and mixtures. There will be some amount of revising and consolidating this sitting here. Obviously, this will be even lesser than this when you start the exam. For anybody who's preparing for CAT, whichever day you're starting, from that day onwards, you should look to read for 45 minutes to 1 hour every day. Read for 1 hour every day. That is a big part of your verbal preparation. That is not counted when we calculate this many hours of preparation need to be done. You have to reach a point where your reading comfort is yay high. When our verbal guy Jatin says, look, this is what you have to do to make sure that you're finding assumptions correctly. This is how you draw the main inference. All of those inputs and ideas will seem juicier, more relevant and appropriate if you have reading muscle. If you don't have, then it's a bunch of ideas somebody is talking. And so if the reading muscle has to be built iteratively, progressively, slowly. So if you have to start this as a practice from day 1, preferably from before that. When it comes to DILR, there's a bunch of standard stuff, so tables, bar graphs, line graphs, pie charts, standard data interpretation templates, standard logical reasoning templates. Not a single question will come from these. At least they have not come for a few years now. But they're important for the tougher battles to fight. Right? So what do we do later on? What do we do on month 2? Then we go to other arithmetic topics, simple interest, compound interest, pipe systems, work time, time, speed, distance, standard topics again. Increase and go towards the logical reasoning basic part, while also revising and amping up speed in arithmetic 1 and touching arithmetic 2. This is what will happen in March. I think now you've got the hang of it. Now we can get a little bit more up to speed. I'm going to go that much quicker from here on in. When you go to the third, then we discuss linear and quadratic equation, arithmetic and geometric progressions, logarithms, starting points of dealing with x's and y's, with letters playing a bigger role than numbers. Right? Revise all of arithmetic. The learning process is iterative. If you do topic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you have to revisit 1 and 2. Then you add 6, 7, 8, revisit 3 and 4. Then you add 9, 10, 11, revisit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every time you add one more layer, you revisit what went on before that. Learning is, that's why it's called a spiraling process of learning. Otherwise, things fly out of your head. When you learn ratio, proportion, and you learn logarithm and progressions, and then go and look at percentages will seem easier to you because you've already done it once, you've revised it once, and it will take in the fact that you've consolidated these ideas, you've added these ideas. Your brain gets better at processing everything. But it's super important to keep doing this. You can't say, I've finished syllabus, now I'll go to practice topic by topic after I finish all the syllabus. The revisiting, consolidating part has to go in sit parallelly with it. Lovely. Again, this is logical reasoning standard templates. And for practicing, you should set the pace by saying, look, I'm going to read 1 set per day, or one reading comprehension per day. One puzzle per day and one RC per day. By about April, you should be on to the treadmill. For some, if it is overwhelming, if it is too high, then you can do this. You can jump onto this by May. I'm going to finish with this, but each of you needs to have a slightly different customized version for yourself. You've done this to create an exhaustive, beautiful template. And then you say, okay, I've got this. I'll tweak here and there for myself. Super important. Right? I got the hang of it. I'm going to go that much quicker. Then we go to algebra 2, function set theory, inequalities, polynomial. These are tougher topics. Right? These are probably the trickiest topics in CAT. And so, but we are into 4th month. We've done all of arithmetic, some basic algebra in place. We can finish this. Revisit algebra, but touch upon arithmetic also, as far as the quant is concerned. By now, we are up to one set per day, one RC per day. And now we've added all the VA templates. You don't need a ton of practice for this, but you need to start getting exposed to, you need to speak the language. What is para jumble? What is sentence elimination? What is para summary? Those parts are important. Here, finishing off the other standard templates. Venn diagram is frequently tested. Others may not be tested, but you need to have a handle on that so that you can add layers to this. From about now, you should be taking mocks also. From April, you should be taking mocks. I forgot to mention that. Take one mock in April just to know what this is. And then take 2 mocks in May for the whole month. You want to be ready to jump onto the mock bandwagon. Taking the first 3 mocks are super important to just know what mock taking is. Round about now, you have to take stock and say, what is the big picture? What is this whole exam about? Not my corner of functions or set theory. Right? Moving on to June, we add on geometry, we revisit arithmetic and algebra. You should get onto some kind of treadmill, 1 mock per week or 3 for the month, 1 every 10 days. When I put 1 mock per week, because it is super useful to say, every Sunday I'm taking a mock, so that the discipline, rigor, maintenance, scheduling of time, all of that happens from there on. Right? Arithmetic and algebra, both of them need to be revisited, probably less of arithmetic, more of algebra, because you've done arithmetic 2 rounds of it. Triangle, circles, quadrilaterals, mensuration. So base all of geometry and a little bit of mensuration get tagged on there. By now you're on to 2 sets per day and 2 RCs per day. We're flirting with increasing the time spent per day or per week basis also. Right? So geometry 2, we add coordinate geometry and trigonometry. We revisit arithmetic and geometry. We pushed out algebra revision because we've done algebra just recently. We've revised algebra the previous month as well. 1 mock per week schedule continues. This continues. By this time, we have finished all the LRDI portions, all the VARC portions. There's no syllabus there, but we have covered everything. We have more or less finished almost all the quant portions. Maybe 1 more month of learning fundas. Now, as you notice, these 2 blocks are becoming bigger and bigger. This is shrinking from both ends, and these are into practice territory. Right? We're still on 1 mock per week. Revision is bigger. We're finishing off quant by saying, look, I'll cover number theory, all bits of it, and permutation probability, combinatorics. These 2 are also important. Permutation probability less so than this, but the building blocks would already have been in place. It will be easier to do this. And we finish this quicker and spend more time on revisiting everything. By now we are into August. We're pretty much covered. The entire syllabus is done. All our time is spent in LRDI and VRC on revising and consolidating. We're up to a 1 mock per week schedule. Tons of time are spent on revision. We go to September and say, look, I'll focus on what I'm good at and consolidate that and get more depth on that. Revise everything based on what my topic priority is. Go to about a 2 mocks per week schedule. Get to an aggressive level of practicing and consolidating for this. This is in September. By this time, we're done, digested, you've finished the entire syllabus. You've revised, you've consolidated, you've practiced. Now you shift to a slightly different thing. Your entire preparation is going to be anchored around mocks. Mock, analyze, revise. Take a mock, analyze the mock. Make sure that your analysis is comprehensive. You cover all the ground. Now you think about strategy, about fatigue, about question selection, about error rate, about doing the last 2 questions, about planning for the D-Day, about understanding where your targets could be, what your likely colleges could be, which percentile range you're going to end at, all of those. Start thinking about the whole paper like that. And then you analyze that part of the analysis. And when you're revising, you'll say, look, I've analyzed this paper. I have a funda gap in trigonometry and a speed gap in pipes and cisterns. I'll do 2 tests in pipes and cisterns. My speed comes back up. I'll revisit trigonometry fundas because that's where my gap seems to be in understanding. So you revise and revisit based on what your analysis is telling you. But this whole cycle is basically do this, jump back to the next mock. And you need to be on a mock treadmill. by the time you're on October 1st, so that everything else is around the mock treadmill, which is why we've changed the format. We're not saying, look, mocks are more important. We're basically saying mocks are the deal, not the big deal, the only thing, the last 8 months. November preparation is exactly the same, nothing, same. October and November is exactly the same funda works till D-Day. Right? So now, what are the caveats? This is for a general preparation plan, for somebody who doesn't have a clear idea of what his or her strengths and weaknesses are. Suppose you've taken CAT before, and LRDI is a weak area, focus on LRDI from day one. You've taken CAT before and you're good at quant, but you simply have never prepared for geometry. Start with that. You're comfortable with geometry, but number systems and permutation probability are a gap area. Amp that up first, then do geometry later on. The sequencing of topics is in your hand. And which section is more important, which section is one you need more time for, is in your hand. Keep that flexibility with you. This entire schedule as a PDF is available. Just look at the description below, click and fill those details, we'll email them to you. Right? So remember that this is for a broad candidate. You have to figure out your variant of it. Right? We speak to a bunch of our candidates every year. We had some of our 2023 candidates come and speak to our 2024 candidates, just to give them an idea of what the framework would be. These are not even candidates who are so happy and they've cracked it and they're waltzing their way into colleges. These are guys who've been on the journey. And so one phrase or one bit that both of them said, two of them came or spoke to our students, is own your preparation. Owning your preparation is super important. You need to say, you can't say I've subscribed to this channel, I've picked up this course, I'm attending these classes, they'll take me through. You're not in third standard where somebody says, this is your classwork, this is your homework notebook. Tomorrow, children, bring your homework notebook. That's not how this world operates. Your understanding of whether you're a disciplined, consistent preparer or you prepare in chunks. One of our guys was like, I could turn up every day 2 hours. Another guy was like, I would have a super intense period of a month and then get carried away with work and do other things, then come back afterwards. So both of them said, look, my hours, when I pick them, what schedule I have, whether it happens in weekday or weekend, morning or evening, late night or in between, all of those I had to govern on a week by week, month by month basis and keep tweaking them and keep jumping back onto the bandwagon. There will be months where you might look at this and go, you might have done a fantastic job in March, April, and then May is a disaster. Done nothing here. Something else has happened that has occupied your mind heavily. It bothered you so much that you could simply not pick up pen and paper and do anything. It's all right. You revisit this, revise the schedule, do a week of revision, get back onto the bandwagon. There's lots of buffer available here. A sincere student can finish this syllabus and do a damn nice, neat job, even if they miss a odd month or two from this schedule. They can amp it up and adjust and manage and bring it up together. And so, but you've got to absolutely own your preparation. You've got to be the person who has control of your schedule, your plan, your rhythms, your strengths and weaknesses. You will not have it today. If you're starting on this CAT journey, you've not taken it before, you've not really attempted it before, you cannot say what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, when you are good at, what time you work, none of that. But slowly, incrementally, from Feb to April to June to August, you should have more command over your rhythms and your strengths. That is super important. Don't take a PDF and download it and say, अब से मैं ये follow कर रहा हूँ, सब मस्त है, ये लोग ने अच्छा बना दिया. ये लोग ने ऐसा एक बनाया जो एक framework हो सकता है. नहीं है कि यही schedule सबको follow करना है. बिल्कुल नहीं. So draw your version of your schedule based on this. Absolutely, the one piece that they even use the phrase, said, own your preparation. This preparation, schedule, plan, outline, discipline, rigor, your strategy, strength, weaknesses, analysis, everything is yours. Not mine, not anybody from 2IIM. So own your preparation and draw the boundaries and frameworks based on what works for you. And wonderful, folks. Once again, just a reminder, the description gives you a place where you can click and fill in your form. We'll email the schedule to you. Definitely do that. The broad outline, obviously you fill in and make variants of that for yourself in your own time. Best wishes for CAT.